It's Nilorcus here, and NCSoft just had the live stream about Aion 2, where they went through some of the planned features and they talked about the game in general. I was there when the first Aion released. I had a lot of fun with the game, so I'm somewhat interested in Aion 2, even though I don't have much faith in NCSoft after Throne and Liberty. But yeah, let's talk about Aion 2. At the beginning of the stream, they were talking about their vision for the game, how they wanted to create like a complete version of Aion. They wanted to do things in a game that weren't possible because of the limited technology back in the day. The setting is gonna be like 200 years after the original game. To me, the story was never kind of a main point of the game anyway, so I don't really care what the setting too much is. They also had some plans to kind of remove the whole Elios versus Asmodean conflict from the game, but seems like now they're bringing it back. They're also talking about how they want to make Asmodeans more aesthetically pleasing, which I'm kind of sad because I really like the way the Asmodeans looked. I kind of like the evil aesthetic they had going on. And they wanted to avoid the whole good versus evil kind of framing to prevent the faction imbalances. But yeah, that's a bit of a point where I'm a bit sad about that. They also talk about how both Elios and Asmodeans are going to play on separate servers, where you're going to be able to kind of matchmake into some kind of realm versus realm periodic matchmaking battles, and then like cross dimensions and invade opposing territories. I'm not sure if this is gonna work similar to like world versus world in Guild Wars 2, where you go through the portal and you kind of have like a completely separated server where you're able to fight. I really like this feature. I mean, it kind of pushes people who want to PvP on a completely separated area. So actually when you're fighting people that also want to PvP. So I think that's a good change. I like that. They also talk about flying, which is basically one of the iconic features of the Aion, and talk how it's going to be more free this time around. There's not going to be any restrictions on flying, which I feel like it's kind of expected. The flying felt super limited in the first game, so I'm happy to see that we're gonna be able to fly around everywhere. Then there was a little bit talking about the deep character customization. The first Aion still pretty much has the best character creation out of all the MMORPGs. The way you could create like those small characters or like big-headed characters or just all kinds of wacky characters was really cool. So I'm hoping we can also create, I mean, based on the way they kind of framed it, I think we're going to be able to make those crazy wild looking characters, which is always a plus. They're also going to launch with 8 different classes, which are all kind of familiar from the first game. You're going to have a Gladiator, Templar, Assassin, Ranger, Spirit Master, Sorcerer, Cleric, and Chanter. So basically exactly the same classes you had in the first Aion. They wanted to move away from like heavy World of Warcraft influence when it comes to the classes and bring them up to the level of like the modern PC MMORPGs and action games. So we'll see what that means when we actually get to see proper gameplay. They also tried to convince us that you're not going to be doing gambling for skills or loot boxes. So that's one of those things I'm going to believe when I see it. Until that, it's pretty much just words for me. So then there was a bit of a talk about kind of a diverse PvE content, which features like solo, 4-player, 8-player dungeons, and also some kind of a dynamic field events. It seems like these games are kind of trending more, adding more solo content, which is, to me, I'm kind of in the middle. I like it, but then kind of fights against the whole fundamentals of the MMORPGs. So I haven't quite decided yet where I sit on the solo content in my MMOs, but it will be there. Some of the fan favorite dungeons gonna make a comeback, like Temple of Fire. I actually really like Temple of Fire. I got to play it on the classic again, and it's a pretty simple dungeon, but I'm sure there's quite a bit of nostalgia amongst the Aion players, especially with the Temple of Fire, so it's cool to see it making a comeback. They talk about the smart dungeon system, which is gonna support global party matchmaking. You're gonna be able to get mid-dungeon replacements if someone disconnects. And there's gonna be some kind of easy mode to help new players or undergear players to learn the mechanics. All that sounds pretty good to me. I don't know how I feel about the mid-dungeon replacement. I guess maybe if you're kind of playing with the matchmaker and you queue up, I think that's pretty cool. The fact that you can just bring new players and you don't have to like start the whole run from the beginning. It's very convenient, so I'm all for it, I guess. They also talked a little bit about the combat, making it more action-oriented with the rear hit detection and near non-targeting, just for a more kind of manual combat, not so static. This is one of the things I'm actually really curious to see, because in the gameplay trailer, it did kind of look very static. So I would have to see someone actually play the game with the UI on, and I would be able to kind of see how action combat it is. It looks very flashy, but I wasn't too convinced that it's like a full action combat yet. Have to see more on that. They did emphasize heavily that there is not gonna be any auto combat, which seems to be a little bit of a trend right now. in the mobile gaming space. I've played a couple of mobile games now that don't have any auto combat, so maybe this is like a trend that's going on right now, and more mobile games gonna come out without auto gameplays. So I actually quite like that. It makes the game feel very different when you don't see the auto gameplay button everywhere. So definitely giving them props for that. They are trying to ensure us that the game is developed first on PC and the mobile version is just kind of a supplementary play. I really don't like the word they use. Not a big fan of that. If they mean with the supplementary play that you can just kind of like check your auction house or, you know, maybe do some fishing dailies or crap like that, I'm okay with that. Like, that's fine. If they mean with supplementary play that the game is going to be so grindy that you're going to want to play it 24/7 when you're like out of your home, you have to like grind it, or on your phone too, then it's a big no-no for me. And lastly, they showed us the mounts. Like, there's going to be collectible mounts that you're going to be able to gather through the game. I saw some people already hating on the mounts. I do kind of feel weird about it a little bit, but I mean, mounts are a pretty basic thing in MMORPGs, so what can I say? I think it's fine. Sure, I would prefer just flying around. Like, maybe you could get faster flight or something instead of a mount, but it is what it is. All in all, I think it was a pretty good stream for Aion 2. I thought it was kind of a better than expected for me. I do wish they showed a bit more like proper gameplay with the UI on, so I could see how the combat actually plays. But otherwise, they gave us some pretty good information for the game. Obviously, the big question is pretty much unanswered here, which is how big is the pay-to-win aspect of the game. We know it's going to be pay-to-win, but I think the big question is how much it's going to be pay-to-win. Is it going to be like a Throne and Liberty level pay-to-win, or is it going to be like a Lineage 2 level pay-to-win? Those are like two completely different levels of pay-to-win that NCSoft has. So if it's the Throne and Liberty level, that's kind of like whatever. As long as the game is fun, I don't care. If it's the L2 level of pay-to-win, then I won't even bother with the game because I don't have like 10k to spend on a game every month. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Aion 2. Tell me in the comments what do you think about the game. Seems like they put the live stream on private, so you can't really watch it again, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Maybe someone recorded it and they're gonna upload it, but who knows. But anyway, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.